The topic is blended families and sharing custody this summer. Our favorite pair of family law experts are here with us this morning, board-certified family law specialist lawyer Bud Kluick and our own San Diego 6 Family Matters Dr. Keith Kanter. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Gary?
How you doing, Gary?
Good, terrific. A lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
Kids out of school last week, first day of summer yesterday. For families that are divorced, blended families, have kids, it's a tough, challenging time.
Well, it's a time of transition, Gary. Yeah, yesterday was the day that San Diego Unified District let out. Obviously, other districts have other start days, and it also happened to be the summer solstice, as you mentioned.
Right.
It is the first day of summer, day before that, Father's Day, so it's a big family time and a time of big transition for families.
Dr. Kanter, this is, like I said, a challenging time for summer. Advice: what can families do when one of the parents lives out of town?
Well, you got to be careful. You got to make sure that both parents get along with each other. To do that, be amicable as much as you can. If there's a parent out of town and your kids are scheduled to go see them, really plan ahead. I mean, it's really important that you plan as much ahead as you can to get that going, and prepare your kids ahead of time too. So don't wait till the last moment before you tell them that they're getting on an airplane.
What if it's not amicable?
Then it's one of those things where it's a tough one. And we always say, do the best that you can on the best interest of your kids to try to at least get along for their best interest. And if you're going to argue, don't do it in front of them. You might have to stick, and Bud can answer this, pending, the court orders, what time you're going by time and what the judge has decided in terms of how you go. And then you have to, at that point, enforce it with your ex-spouse.
Sure.
But with your kids, it's really important that you don't get them in that battle. You basically, tell them, hey, look, it's from this period to this period that you're going to be with the other parent. You let them know that you're going to be okay as that parent who's letting them go. It's really important, because if you don't assure your kids that you're going to be okay when they're with that other parent, they're going to worry about you and perhaps be anxious the entire summer. So
we have limited time here. We could go on and on about this, and I'm a graduate of this class. Unfortunately, it happened to me in the early 90s. But in addition to the summer transitions, what are some of the other transitions to be aware of?
We're in a military town, so obviously that's a huge one when parents go on and off of deployment. I wanted to add one thing to what Keith was saying, Dr. Kanter, about the orders. It's highly useful to have very specific court orders, and that will always be the default position, because if you're following what a judge told you to do with great specificity, you can't really get into too much trouble legally. On the other hand, you have to be, stuff happens, as the phrase goes, and you have to be somewhat flexible. And so if your co-parent calls you and says there's a tornado in Idaho or Iowa where they're having their family reunion, it's not a good response to say, you get that kid on the plane, tornado or no. This would not be a good response. So you have to have some degree of flexibility. If letting the child stay over another day permits them to see some great aunt that may not be around.
Absolutely.
You have to be able to let that happen.
But there are parents that stick to it and say, these are the rules, this is the way it's going to be. And over my dead body, am I going to be flexible?
Well,
and that causes problems for everybody.
Well, and Gary, you're saying a good point. How many marriages end amicably? Not a whole bunch.
No, or they wouldn't end.
Exactly. Right. So you're working in a situation that's not going to be an easy one. So stick to the orders of the judge. I mean, Bud and I have talked about this. Get to court, get it done, get your divorce finished, and get on a schedule that you have. And you keep that schedule consistent as you can on both sides. And that comes with summers and going back to school. And you've got to prepare your kids for, okay, on these days you're with mom, on these days you're with dad. Right. Summertime it's longer, because oftentimes you get more time over the summer. That's tough for the kids because they miss that other parent. So make sure, and this is really important on both sides, you let your kids call that other parent. Don't withhold the phone. Don't do that. You're only going to dig your own hole if you start saying nasty things about your ex anyway.
No,
so you've got to make it for the kids.
And half of your children is your ex.
So keep your schedule and plan in advance.
If you want to change things at court, get started early. That's a key. And you have to get started even more early nowadays, Gary, because if you've been following the news, they have furlough days and they have a hiring freeze. So things are taking a lot longer to be accomplished in court. So if you want to change next year's visitation or Christmas time visitation, you have to get started early. See a lawyer as quickly as possible, at least 3 months ahead of time. And similarly, I tell my military clients, if you're going to be coming off deployment, have a communication with your attorney so we can file the paperwork so we can get to have a hearing in front of the judge relatively quickly or coincident with your returning from deployment.
If you'd like more information, you want to contact our experts, just go on to Bud's website, and that is FamilyLawSanDiego.com. You can call them at 619-448-6500. I apologize. We had a list of questions, things I wanted to cover.
It's on our blog, by the way, and we cover. Yeah,
good. Because I only got to ask you two questions.
Well,
we need more time.
On your Family
this
Matters,
show needs to be longer.
It does, but we try to blog as much as we can. So most of the legal issues that we're talking about today, I've written about on our blog here, San Diego Sex, on Your Family Matters. So check it, because we've talked about transitions in kids and sticking to custody rules and things like that, and how important that is for kids.
If you Google either of our names, you'll come up with a lot of opportunities to get a lot of information because of blogging and other things.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you, Dr. Kenner. By the way, you do a great job.
Oh, hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Can I get your autograph before you leave?
Stop.
All right.